Absolutely no one in the church was paying attention at all. And I almost got up and walked out. Hey, I'm going to tell you guys about something that happened to me in church many years ago, right? And this is just an observation that I've made, and I'm sharing this here. And let me know if you guys have had a similar experience. But, I grew up going to a very fundamentalist Pentecostal Spanish church, right? And, I'm not going to say anything bad about, the Spanish church or the church that I went to. But to give you a little context, I've always been one of those people that just like genuinely believes like kind of what the Bible says that we should do, like feed the poor, help the needy. And anyway, one day I'm sitting in church and, I had a really good pastor. He was a really good man. But I, in all transparency, he wasn't maybe the best preacher or orator, which you don't have to be, but, he was still a great guy, lived an awesome example, like his life preached more than, his sermons a lot of the times, but he was a great person. And I remember there was one Sunday, and just so you know, like the little churches that are Pentecostal, they're always talking about the bigger churches, how they're all going to go to hell and all of this and that, and how we have to stay pure. Well, anyway, one day I'm sitting in church, and honestly, you guys, it was so boring. It was so boring because I was like, oh, I'm just ready to go, or go say hi to my friend or go talk, because after church is like kind of like when everybody would kind of socialize. It really was like a social hour after church, right? But that's what religion is. We got to go through all the steps until we can get to the end, right? And a lot of times after church, we would make plans or hang out, But one particular Sunday, I was sitting in church. And as I was sitting in church, I was like, man, this is so boring. And he really wasn't saying nothing. Those of you that go to church know what I mean when I say that. He wasn't saying nothing. And something in me told me to just kind of look at everyone in the audience, right? And I was sitting kind of towards the back. And I'm sitting like here looking at the pastor, and I'm like, he's not saying nothing. And so I decide to slowly turn around and look at the audience, right, of everyone that was listening. I mean, the congregation. And dude, almost no one was paying attention. Like, I remember I was like, look at, Sister Susie. Like, you could tell she was like far away in thought. Other people were on their phones. And other people were playing with their kids. And it was like, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen everywhere, right? But it was something about, there was like this collective agreement that we all knew kind of what was going on. We were all kind of just sitting there waiting for the service to be over so we can go make plans. And I think if there was 100% people, I think only 20% of the people were actually maybe paying attention. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of looked at that. And I was like, okay, Gabriel, well, that's kind of what you see in school too, like in a classroom, But, there's something that struck me. It was like, I think maybe something is wrong here. If this is the location where we come to commune with other people and commune with God, then why is no one paying attention? And so 80% of people, you could just look, how like you can look at someone and like their mind is like far away, like in another universe. That's exactly what I saw that day. And I was like, well, maybe something is wrong here, right? Because something that I hate personally is like when something's like a waste of time, right? If this is a waste of time, I don't even want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that God is a waste of time, but maybe there's something about the way we worship or look for God that might be wrong, right? And so, I don't have a clear answer for this. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm just curious, right? And so, and it wasn't that the people were bad. It wasn't that the pastor was bad, but it was like there was like a disconnect there. Because if this is the place where we come to, quote unquote, be with the Creator, right? I know a lot of people might be, well, Gabriel, you look for God at home, churches where you just go to, but there's something wrong there. And so, I don't have a good solution for it or a good answer for it, but I just kind of wanted to share this observation with you guys. But I guess, let me just share what my thoughts are on it. I think something was wrong. And I think it's something that we see across churches and denominations and even religions. I think that, a lot of time religion puts us in a holding pattern. And so since leaving my religion, I felt a lot more connected to God. And I've lost like a lot of my preconceived notions, right? And what's the biggest blessing? I don't have to sit in a seat of judgment or anything like that. And so I think that was the first moment where I looked at it and was like, maybe something might be wrong here, right? Because, if we're all just sitting here and we all know what we're doing, no one's really paying attention. We're just kind of going through the dance, so to speak. Then why are we even here, And so let me give y'all a flip side of that, right? So I grew up where yoga was very demonized because it was bad. And so, I was like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to hell, but I'm going to go and visit this yoga place and just see what this was about. And I was completely shocked because I thought demons were going to come out the windows and all of these things. But it turns out that the people that I met in yoga were actually more welcoming, more spiritual, and more of a connected community. And we never even talked about God. One was a Presbyterian, the other dude was I'm not sure if he was Baptist or whatever, another lady was Catholic. And it was this idea of everyone is on their spiritual journey and we just come here to kind of talk with each other. Versus where I was coming out of, where it was just we were all just kind of playing along, waiting for a service to finish so we can hang out or make plans. And so it's something that I just think about. I'm curious to know what you guys think on this, but and I'm going to end with this. There was a lot of good things that I kept from my religion, and there was two things I really kind of kept. One was Jesus, and the other was, I'm not sure, but it was this honest look for God. We would honestly pray and seek God, if you call it the universe, whatever it is, we would honestly look for God. And so, yeah, that was the only two things I decided to keep. So let me know what your thoughts are. And if you're new here, my name is Gabriel. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And I want you to stay here. I'm going to be talking about all sorts of topics. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Love you guys. See you next time.